area. I don't want anyone on the call to go away and not understand who we are. Some of you may be like us, some of you may not. But the Myrtle Beach area consists of 12 unique communities. These communities, most of them are seaside, some are inland. But it's when we talk about Myrtle Beach, it's talking about all of these communities that you can visit. And that includes popular cities such as North Myrtle Beach, Surfside Beach, Litchfield Beach, and Pawleys Island. We also represent a 60-mile stretch of coastline along the South Carolina shores, and the beaches are just amazing and beautiful, and we use that. That's pretty much why people come to visit us. First and foremost, they want to go to the beach. We have 425 lodging properties, nearly 100,000 room nights, and over 1,800 full-service restaurants, 300 outlet stores, over 100 championship golf courses, many of which have oceanfront views, 35 miniature golf courses, which makes us the mini golf capital of the world, and 8 live entertainment theaters. And then perhaps the biggest number that we have to keep our eyes on and focus is the 17.2 million annual visitors who come here to our shores each and every year. We're expecting to get a study back in a few weeks that will have our 2015 numbers, and we know that we've already eclipsed 18 million for 2015. So when we go into this and look at, really one of our partners, what they represent, is we decided to go into our air service development program, we needed to partner with the airport. And the airport here is different than in some cities. The airport is actually owned by Horry County, and they basically help us with contacting the airline partners, but we have to do the marketing for any of the service. So basically it's collaboration so that the airport is going to be successful. If we help market, we need to be at the table for any of the discussions, but we also have to make sure that this is a long-term commitment. Now, our airport currently, for those of you who haven't visited, is served by 7 commercial airlines, and those are both legacy airlines and also low-cost carriers. We have nonstop service to and from about 30 cities. Some of these are just seasonal flights, others are year-round flights. And they recently had a $118 million expansion and renovation. The airport here is absolutely beautiful. It's amazing to see how pretty it is, how contemporary, and how it has such an easy in and easy out for our travelers. They also completed a $20 million runway rehabilitation project, again, looking for long-term to make this a very safe and friendly airport for all of the airlines that come in here. And perhaps one of our greatest selling features of our airport is that when you land, you are in Myrtle Beach. You don't have to drive 2 hours to get to the beach. It's located approximately a mile from the beach and from the ocean. And of course, when you come in and when you take off, you're going over the beautiful Atlantic Ocean to and from. So it's really a great asset that we have here in our community. Now, I'm going to give you the high-level program summary as to what we wanted to do, what we were trying to accomplish by partnering together, and who we needed to bring into the fold in order to get air service development for our community. Of course, we had to work with the Myrtle Beach International Airport, also with Horry County since they own the airports, and with Myrtle Beach Golf Holiday. As most of you know, golf is a huge pastime for folks who come visit here, so we felt it was important to have one of our golf partners at the table, sitting there for all the discussions so that they could assist. Long term, what we're looking at is to expand the service options for travelers, and primarily we are a destination, not necessarily an origin city. We do have a lot of folks here who live in the community that may travel to visit family and friends, but we're looking at about a 30,000 household base here in Myrtle Beach City in the area. So we pretty much have to rely on folks who are coming from other cities to keep those airplanes filled. For us, we're seeing that legacy carriers are great to have, and we certainly have them in our market, but we're also looking for the options to bring in the low-cost carriers because that's how we can make it affordable for the vacationers to come here. We're also looking at affordability not only for the visitors but for businesses and residents. In order for us to grow our economic base here, we are primarily a tourism destination, but we also welcome the opportunity to have new businesses relocate here. And again, I mentioned the low-cost airlines focus, and we also know that air service expansion will continue to give us significant economic growth. And I'm going to share some numbers about that in just a few minutes. Now, at the end of the day, I want to tell you, when you look at a project like this, and this would apply to getting a performing arts center, if you needed equestrian facilities, a sports center, any of those types of large projects, you're going to use pretty much a similar approach and methodology as we have. There will be some nuances, some differences, but basically you have to define what your success is. For us, we knew that we could not be successful on our own. It forced us to have collaboration with others. When you go into a major project like this, you have to step back and think of all the partners that you can bring to the table. It saves to have some other folks help you with the heavy lifting. And also, if you're approaching an airline or anyone else, they need to see that there's strength and unity, that the community is behind whatever is going on. So for us, it was collaboration, but also we have to do our homework. You cannot go into a program like this and not do your homework. If you're going to pitch an airline, you need to know about that airline. What makes it important for them? What are the hot buttons? What is their business model? If you don't know enough about them going into it, they will simply dismiss you and go on to the next person. And having come from the airline world, I worked for Delta for about 15 years, and I did sales, marketing, and also our vacation development. I can tell you that the folks who knew their homework were the ones who obtained the new service. The ones who did not see anything. So it's always very important to know more about that person than they would expect you to know. And then also you have to look at something like this as a long-term partnership. You're going to have some small wins, but you have to be committed to it for multiple years. Especially when you're dealing with a lot of money, you're asking for investment capital from an airline, from a bank, from commercial development. You have to go into it knowing that this is going to be long-term, that you're going to have to talk to these people for a period of time, and that you have to look at it as a win-win situation for everyone involved. Now for us, we looked at basically a simple project plan that I have on this page, and basically some of the tasks that we did was to look at meeting with the airline partners. Again, we had to present statistics. You have to show ROI. Certainly the relationships are important, but the numbers are equally as important. And for us, it also meant that we had to offer something for them. What was the carrot or what was the olive branch that we could offer to them to show that we were willing to be a partner who was vested in this project? Also, there's a lot of follow-up of airline communications. We had folks throughout the city with different businesses, et cetera. They would give us a letter of support. So again, showing that community support. It's not just a few of us who want this. It's an entire community that's willing to embrace it. That's very important. And also we had to contact partners in target markets to ensure that there was success and support at both ends. It wasn't just about Myrtle Beach, but we needed to know that someone in Toledo, Ohio, when we started service on Allegiant from Toledo to Myrtle Beach, we wanted to make sure that that market supported and saw the benefit of having these flights in their market. So you've got to reach out to a lot of folks, not only in your community, but also outside of it as well. And, of course, I mentioned coordinating with local partners and assembling a marketing plan. If you go in without a plan, you're not going to be successful. The airlines or even anyone else that you talk to in this day and age, you need to come in with a plan. It can always be morphed. It can be changed. But come in with some type of a proposal of what you're going to do to help market it, how you're going to make it successful. If you don't show that you're willing to put some skin in the game, it just takes so much longer to accomplish and to be successful. And when I look through also some of the other things, the publicity campaign, I handle the PR for the Myrtle Beach area, and so you always need to show them something that they can get, that they don't have to pay for, that you're willing to do for them. And also, there's sometimes ancillary needs that a partner may have. We found out that with Allegiant Airlines, they really needed some help in having their crew be able to stay here and overnight. They wanted some type of living accommodations that would not cost them. So you need to also be asking them, what is it that we can do? How can we help you? Are there any financial obstacles that we can help you overcome? And then, really, it's again, when you have air service announced or anything else, even if you're doing a performing arts project, if you have these announcements made, you've got to be out there to help celebrate, to be the cheerleader, everything that you can do to show the support, bring all your partners in, and truly, again, make it a community effort. Now, when we look at the needs identification for us, we know that tourism is the driving force. It's our #1 industry here in Myrtle Beach. Real estate is the second largest industry. And with 17.2 million annual visitors, it's incumbent upon us to keep that number growing, but also it's made us start to think about the demand for relocation, investment, and retirement, because that also pays a lot of salaries and provides a lot of jobs for the area. We have a website that's thinkmyrtlebeach.com, and that's where we send people to if they're thinking about possibly relocating here, investing here, or retiring. We've found that tourism is the first thing that drives a person to come visit. If they come visit and they like it, then that stays in their mind as an option for future relocation, investment, or retirement. And we need to find a way to capitalize on that, make sure that tourism is growing, but also that we're supporting our number 2 industry as well. The impact area, just looking at what we can do for our community. Again, this is not just what we're doing for the chamber or for the airport. It's what are we doing to help our community grow? How are we being thought leaders? And for us, it means growing local business revenues. You know, as a Chamber of Commerce, it's so important to support all of our businesses, especially our small businesses, and we know that we can make an impact on them by bringing more folks to our region. We also know that we can increase local employment opportunities, and we want to expand our visitor base with new markets. As we open up new markets, it gives people an easy and inexpensive way to come here and visit. It may take away some of their fears or apprehensions of visiting us if we can make it very easy and economical for them. We also generate additional tax dollars. That's something we don't all talk about a lot, but let's face it, you know, the tax dollars that we bring in are not just for providing more marketing dollars that we use, but also in the city of Myrtle Beach, some of the fees that we have actually get rebated back to the homeowners so that their property tax bills are virtually nothing. So there's a lot of positive things that can come from tourism and from bringing folks into your community. And then also the economic growth opportunities, too, that we have. And I want to share some numbers with you because these are pretty staggering when you think about it. If you look at the Myrtle Beach area, tourism represents about $7 billion, and that is billion with a B, in industry revenue for our area, $7 billion. And it also supports more than 83,000 jobs. And perhaps even more importantly, even though people think of us sometimes as a seasonal destination, which we are marketing ourselves as a year-round destination, most of those jobs, actually 80% of the jobs, are year-round. So the more we can do to bring tourists here, bring our visitation in, get the airline partners on board, we're going to not only make a difference in what the economic benefits are for the area, we're going to keep folks gainfully employed throughout the year. Now, our objectives in going into this really were to grow deployment. You've got to look at a measurement, you know, really what are your metrics for this? We want to grow deployment so that we have more people coming into Myrtle Beach flying. We want to drive more incremental visitors to our website, our visitmyrtlebeach.com website, which currently we have about 11 million unique visitors a year. So for us, that's important to get them there so that we can then provide a way to get them to our hotel partners so that they can book their reservations. And we want to impact seasonality and secure first-time visitors. Seasonality I mentioned just a second ago. People have thought that Myrtle Beach was primarily a summer destination, which it is. That's our busiest peak time of travel. But we have beautiful weather, really economical rates, and so much to offer during the shoulder seasons, and that's in the spring and fall. So our goal is not only to maintain what we have during the summer, but also impact those shoulder seasons and fill those up as well. And then we also want to bring in more first-time visitors. And you may listen and say, what does that mean and why would this apply to me? For us, first-time visitors, we focus on that, and we typically have about 33 to 38% of our visitors each year are first-timers. We know that once we get them to the destination, they're going to fall in love with it. They want to come back again and again. And whichever hotel property they're staying at is going to remarket to them in such a wonderful way that we don't have to worry about retaining that particular guest. For us, the big number that we look at is trying to get those first-time visitors here and get them engaged so that they become loyal customers over a period of time. And then we also want to increase interest in relocating and investing in retiring. I mentioned the real estate aspect of that. But even more importantly and near and dear to my heart is to generate that PR outreach and that national media coverage, because those are the dollars I don't have to actually spend for it, but it's the earned media that bring folks the eyeballs onto the articles and onto the websites and all to get them to look at coming here. Now, the methodology we used was, and I mentioned some of this previously, is to recognize the strengths, opportunities, and business needs for each airline. Again, you're going to go in for a presentation to Delta, much different than you go in for a presentation to Spirit or Allegiant. You have to understand their business model and what are their needs. What do they need to do in order to survive? And how can you be the best destination that they could choose? We always go in full of research. We believe in market research, so we have our case studies and our recommendations so that we can show how we are best aligned with their needs. And also our research has to be used so that we can identify those potential new markets and then be able to go sell the airline on it. But it's not just about what's happened in the past. It's also, can we sustain the demand, and how are we going to do it? It's very, very important in our methodology, and I think the airlines have definitely appreciated that we come in. It's not like we just want to get an airline in the door. We want to look at them being here for many, many years. Part of that is the airline ticket revenue. We always look at that and try to make sure that we can give them the ROI that they need. They're going to need, depending upon their business model, different price points depending upon their cost. And also we have to look at the ability to generate new visitors and grow. Are the airlines going to have large enough flights with seat capacity to come in here, or is it going to be too limited? Are their pricing levels right, etc.? And then also for us, it's targeting a combination of low-cost carriers such as Allegiant, and we've done work with Spirit as well as Canadian carriers, WestJet and Porter. The importance for this on us is we have about 1 million Canadian visitors who come to the Myrtle Beach market each year, and those folks come in during our shoulder seasons when we most need the business. So it's important for us to have that nonstop air service to and from Toronto so that we can keep that number growing. Now, the marketing campaign. This is always fun, and what we've found that works the best, again, this can work in so many different other areas too, is we come in and say, look, we're going to co-brand it. We want our name on it. We've got to have our name, Visit Myrtle Beach on it. But we also want to make sure you've got your brand identity too. So we collaborate with them on a co-branded ad that works for them and for us. And then what we do is drive any of that traffic to our website, to a page that is set aside just for them. And then anybody that clicks on that and goes to the airline website, we've got all the tracking mechanism in place so that we can see exactly how many folks we are delivering from our site back to theirs. We do a combination of TV, digital, do an awful lot of video online as well. So not only what we have on TV is out there for folks to see, but they're also seeing it online. And a lot of social media, and we do a huge amount of national media outreach, going to all of the different markets where the new service is starting, and pitching and talking to the PR folks, whether it's TV, radio, print, etc., to get them to help share stories as well. For the past couple of years, we've had a budget of about $400,000, which any of you in the marketing and PR field know that goes pretty quickly, and then a PR budget of $37.5. And we also, everybody has to have skin in the game. I've mentioned that several times. We also make sure that the airlines provide us with introductory airfares. We need something to advertise, something to market. The hook is always going to be a price point. And you can't just go out there and put a brand name. In this day and age, people are looking for the deals. And so we want them to support that and have those airfares, but also to give us any other tools that might be necessary for us to be successful, including access to their email databases and other tools that we can kind of partner with them on. Marketing campaign budget. As I mentioned, it goes pretty quickly, but essentially this was how we've divvied it up. About $175,000 for TV. We do remnant buys through a company in New York, so that can go a little bit further. We do some radio advertising, about $32,000. Digital advertising, that's really where we spend the bulk of our dollars, just because we can go in and out. And typically, while we'll do keyword and also banner ad, and we do a lot of video advertising so that they can see the destination, but also see the carrier. And then publicity, as I've mentioned, we just go out to anybody that we can in the different markets and try to get that message out there as loud and clear as we possibly can. Earlier, I mentioned to you the housing assistance. We actually had an in-kind trade where we gave Allegiant Airline employees some housing here so that they could do the overnights, and that basically saved them about $65,000. So again, know whoever you're talking to, know what their needs are, whether it be an airline or someone else, and figure out what are the in-kind value propositions that you can give to them. And then communication. We had to do our messages that we're targeting, the new markets, and of course destination-specific messaging, because we feel that while it's great to see an airplane, people want to see where they're going to. We have beautiful scenery here, so why not show them the gorgeous aerial views of our coastline. Of course, we always put the airline service information. And I mentioned to you that we have everything go to our website with dedicated trackable links. And then in our campaigns, what we typically do is, a combination of TV, video, and digital email distribution on both sides, not only to our database, but to the airline database. Corporate sponsorships, we can tie them in, like we do a sponsorship with Kentucky Speedway. Allegiant happens to sponsor a car there, so we team up and we do activation and allow them to do a lot of extra things with us, including prize giveaways. And even with Brand USA, with their prominence in supporting Canadian companies, we do a lot with Porter Airlines and with WestJet to tie them into our sponsorships there. And in-market media fam trips. And what I mean by that is we host as many media folks as we can from the origination city to come here. We cover most of the costs for them, let them learn about the destination so they can go back and sell it. But also we have the call centers and reservation folks and group sales folks from some of the airlines. We bring them into town for short fam trips so that they can get accustomed to what our destination is, and that helps them to sell the product even better. Now this is a smattering of things on this page, but this just shows you some representation of over on the left-hand side. You'll see the dedicated airline pages that we have on our website, and it's just about those particular airlines. In the center of the page, that's just showing you some ads. Well, I think those are digital ads that we have. Again, we're focused on, we're bringing our message in, we're tying it into whatever the airline wants to say, and then where there's a partnership like Brand USA and Discover America, we throw that in as well. And then on the right-hand side is just, again, some of our banner ads that we place, showcasing the destination, also including the airlines, and really giving them a lot of lift. And on anything digital or video-wise, we have that go back to our website so that, again, we can track that as those folks come in and then go over to the airline sites. Now, this is the slide that I think is, at least for me, is pretty important and we're most proud of. It's talking about the results. You can talk about how you're going to do something, but until you do it and until you measure it, you really have to step back and wonder if it was worthwhile or not. When you look at the money that we spent, which wasn't an awful lot of money for the campaign, we found that we increased deplanements by 4.7%. The visitation to our website went up over 30%. The business referrals, and when I say business referrals, that's where if somebody comes onto our website and they end up going over to a partner website, that would be a business referral. Those went up by over 13%. And RevPAR, which is something that's extremely important for the hoteliers, went up almost 10%. And then the numbers on the right-hand side show you, of course, my earned media value for PR, 142.2 million, and over 2.6 billion media impressions. When you share these numbers with an airline, they realize the power of working together. And as long as we've done all the homework, and we've, sometimes it takes years to get the relationships to the point to where we get new service. But when you go through all of this, they recognize the benefits. And then as I showed you earlier, our community recognizes the benefits too by having all of this economic impact on the area and the creation of jobs. Now, one other thing I want to add to this that I didn't have on one of the slides is we also found another way. It's not only selling the airline tickets, but we went back to the airlines as we were setting this up and said, okay, you each have your own vacation product. Porter Airlines has Porter Escapes, WestJet has WestJet Vacations, and Allegiant has Allegiant Vacations. So we said, let us help set you up with the hoteliers in the area who would be able to do business with you. We'll make it streamlined and easy so you don't have to do a lot of research. And we basically brought them into market and connected them with the hoteliers, and they were able to set up their vacation package product, which again brings in additional air revenue, and it also helps the hoteliers out as well. So again, you've got to think about all of the things that might go into making this relationship successful for everyone, and you have to do a lot of out-of-the-box thinking. It's just really important for that. But now when I look at it today and see really where we're at, these documents were prepared, I think this was April of last year when we had to submit the application for the Chamber of the Year. since then, I want to kind of fast forward and tell you where we're at today. And just with ongoing relationships with the airlines, we've added 5 new markets last year on Allegiant Airlines. We added 3 more this year. And we're also seeing that the airlines are talking to us about expanding the seasonal service window, meaning that they typically come in and want to test the water. If they know that they can get money during the summer period and fill up their flights, they're going to do that first. But for us, we need to have that window of availability offered in the spring and the fall. So as they become more successful in our market, as our partnership has grown, they have come back to the table and said, we're willing to try. Okay, we're going to start the flight in April instead of May, or we're going to start the service in February, or we're going to continue it as late as November. So those are the extra benefits that come after the fact, after doing a great job in developing that relationship, really getting them feeling good and making money for everyone, but also making it where it's a win-win for the consumer as well. And we're going to continue to see more of this moving forward. So I want to just remind you of kind of in closing, a couple of points that I think are important just to remember. This applies, not everyone's going to have an airport that is near them or that they need to help with their service development. But again, this can apply to a myriad of projects. Think about whether it's a performing arts center or something else where you need a lot of project support. You've got a big project, it's going to probably cost a lot of money, but it could have a tremendous change in your game for your destination. You really have to think about that collaboration. I cannot tell you, the partnerships with your community are so important, and you've got to pull people in at the beginning of it and keep them engaged, keep them involved, keep them up to date. That's one of the key things. But also, whichever entity you're working with, whether it's an airline or anyone else, you must know their business as well as they do, if not better. You need to be able to do your homework, go in there, tell them what you're willing to do, present that plan to them, and just totally wow them. That's what it takes in this day and age. And then you also need to explain to them you're looking at a long-term partnership. You're not looking at a one-year deal and then they leave. You need it to be successful because that's going to help you have other people start looking at you. I always say that success begets success. If you're successful in getting airlines to come to your market and you're successful in getting the media coverage, it makes other airlines look out at you and say they must be doing something right because they keep adding all these flights. I need to go see them and talk to them. So with that, that concludes my presentation, and I will be glad to take any questions and see if there's any comments or anything too. And I think I have another slide. It's not advancing for me, but the last slide was going to be with my contact information.
Okay. Susan, we can get your slides on the website, or you could just read your contact information right now, and then we'll also post it on the website.
Absolutely. Well, you can reach me. My email address is Susan, S-U-S-A-N, .Phillips, P-H-I-L-L-I-P-S, at visitmyrtlebeach.com. And telephone is area code 843-916-7243.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, Susan, and thanks for providing that contact information. If you all have any questions now that you'd like to ask during the webinar, any comments, please feel free to do so. You can do that, again, by just typing your question in the question box, which is in the right-hand side of your webinar panel. And I will read the question to Susan. And in the meantime, we started so quickly that I did not even introduce Susan properly, so I'll just let you know her background. She has over 25 years of experience in the travel and hospitality, aviation, and financial services industries. And since August of 2012, she's served as the Director of Marketing for the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce and Convention and Visitors Bureau. Before joining the Chamber, Susan was the Director of Marketing and Communications and a member of the Executive Committee at the Grove Park Inn Resort and Spa in Asheville, North Carolina. She also previously served in key executive leadership roles at North Carolina's Home Trust Bank and with the Asheville Regional Airport Authority. And as she mentioned in the webinar, in her presentation, she spent nearly 15 years at Delta Airlines overseeing the strategic development, pricing, marketing, and overall management of the Delta Vacations Worldwide Tour product. So we're very lucky to have Susan here and to provide information about their air service development project, which was, as indicated, an award-winning project and one of the reasons that the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber was a recipient of one of our Chamber of the Year awards in 2015. Okay, we do have a question here. The question is, we are just beginning a partnership with Regina Airport Authority. Is the collaboration with the airport a step that needs to be done more by the airport authority in the beginning, or what should we do as a chamber to jumpstart this collaboration?
Well, that's a great question. I had that when I went to Asheville, North Carolina, and I was the director of marketing for the airport. My first thing is we had funding and we did marketing for the new service, but I found that I needed to have engagement with the Chamber of Commerce folks because I needed to help open up the community relationships. And so I just kind of pulled them on board. I think you're probably going to have to do that yourself. Never assume that someone's going to go out there and do the hard work and kind of get everybody pulled together. But you do need to have their support, and then you need to really kind of talk to them. And of course, you'll have this presentation that you can share with them, but talk to them about how you can approach it jointly. Again, you're so much more successful if you go in with your entire community behind you than if you just go in kind of halfway saying, hey, we'd like some air service, don't quite know what to do. You need to have a plan, and you've got to keep in mind that your competitors are out there ready to present their plans, and it's the one who presents it the best and shows the most unity and the most options. That's going to be the one that they're going to look at. So I would definitely urge you to reach out to the airport authority, go to their meetings, go on the trips. It's important. You need to be part of the trips when they go visit the airlines. You need to help gain the letters of support from the community stakeholders, and just take on that leadership role. Even if they do or don't take on the leadership role themselves, you need to go ahead and insert yourself from the beginning.
Okay. It looks like we don't have any more questions. So I will I just have a few quick notes before we sign off, and if y'all have any last-minute questions, feel free to type them in while I'm talking. First, this webinar is being recorded, and I will post it along with a copy of Susan's presentation on our ACC webinar page within the next 1 to 2 business days. You can find that on our website by clicking on Professional Development, hovering over ACC University Online, and then clicking on A to Z Webinars, and you'll see the recording of this webinar and then all of the webinars that we have done over the past number of years, particularly in the last 6 months. And next, our next ACC webinar will be next week on Wednesday, May 11th, when ACCE staff will be hosting another edition of our popular ACCE tour. During this webinar, which will take about 45 minutes, we'll discuss how to search our sample library, sign up for e-communications in areas of interest, find information toolkits, samples, survey results, and really get answers to chamber questions on topics of many, many types. So please feel free to look for that webinar and sign up for that and join us. And then finally, remember that you will all get 1 CCE credit for participating in this and any of our ACC University webinars. And we keep track of those CCE credits, and you can check your ACC account to see how many you've accrued. So thank you again, Susan, for that presentation, and thank you everyone for your participation and interest. I wish you all a wonderful afternoon and a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.